so what I'll share with you is we're actually really militant about establishing our ICP because, you know, I'll share pretty bluntly. When you go and play with the big boys, you go sit in the room with Jacuzzi, and well, I'm going to tell you, you don't get to go over to this question, hop to this question, hop to this question without them going, yeah, this guy's an idiot and we wasted our money. And what I'll tell you again is we're very structured. And so we break it down into a few different parent groups. And I'll share that I don't think anything revolutionary, but again, structure is very important. And then we can iterate off of the structure. But it's that we look at demographics, firmographics, psychographics, technographics, and then the behavior patterns of this person. And so these are going to be we have these giant questionnaires, and inside of each of these, you know, there's something like 20 to 30 different questions that fall under each of those parent categories. And so again, we want to look at, you know, how many employees do they have? How much money are they making? What are the pains? How do they think? What are their behavior patterns? What tech do they use? How much money? All of this stuff. How many conferences do they attend, you know, every year? And we try to define this person and really down to every data point that could exist around them. We try to build out that profile. And so, yeah, that would be kind of those parent groups, firmographics, technographics, demographics.
I love it, dude. So, yeah. I absolutely love you, dude. I absolutely love you. You're insane. Welcome back to Growth Lab Sessions. I'm Joao, CEO of Stealth White Label Agency, and my mission is simple: to help marketing agencies grow and build sustainable success. And today, we're bringing in a serious operator, Chris Booth, the GTM wizard behind brands like Jacuzzi, Roku, and over 100. Chris is the founder of Charm, the agency your team would pick if it could. His team builds effortless systems, top-tier staffing solutions that empower sales, marketing, and support teams across the board. He is a wizard that I was lucky to meet at Agency Founders in Nashville. Chris, welcome to Growth Lab Sessions. Are you ready to take it to the lab?
Oh, I am so darn ready. That was such a freaking good intro. Oh my gosh, I will take that. In fact, I am going to clip that and give that to my team, and that needs to play at the beginning of like every meeting I come into. Like, hey,
let's go.
Hell yeah. Thank you so much for the kind words.
Yeah, for sure. Chris, give us a little bit about your background.
Yeah, so let me ask you, on the dial here, how deep do we want to go? Do we want the origin, the villain story, and where it all goes? Do we want to, you know, cruise over it, give you the high level?
I want some high level over your background because I want detail into the sauce that you're working on.
Absolutely. Okay, cool. So let me share with you, man. Since I've been a youngin', I have been obsessed just with building businesses. And really for myself, as I've gotten better at Chris, I think I've realized that it's a factor of, or rather kind of, there's a common thread in that I just enjoy optimizing systems. And I've realized this as I, you know, loved math, or I liked physics in school. And then I'm like, but I like business too. And what you come to realize is it's just these logic problems that I enjoy solving and organizing. And so, you know, since I was youngin', literally we're talking 5-6 years old, I was picking grapefruit off the trees and going door to door and selling it to all of our neighbors. Up to in high school, I worked with my parents to make a candle business, and then I made a house painting business. And then with some friends, I got really lucky in college, and I will say, as any good business person knows, there's a combination of luck and hard work that goes into success. And we got, you know, lucky off of the back of our hard work, where we were able to sell a SaaS tool to a bunch of VCs, moved out to Silicon Valley, got to be an EIR for a bunch of wonderful incubators and phenomenal businessmen. And that was really where I started to earn my stripes in terms of, you know, we had done wonderful, really scrappy work to get our startup to a really nice spot. But then you go and start playing with the big boys, in quotes, the guys that are, you know, patting you on the back for your 5-10 million business. And they're like, oh yeah, we did that in 6 months when I was 17 years old. You're like, God damn. And you start meeting these people, and you know, they're building robots, and they're, you know, building drone swarms, or they're making these awesome VR things, and it's just so inspiring. and you start to ask questions about how do you make this idea, how do you get the idea to market, how do you actually sell the thing. And so as an EIR, an entrepreneur in residence, you're responsible for helping guide some of these folks. And I'll tell you, I'm such a young dude out there, it's that I'm helping, but a lot of the time I'm learning as well. And so I get a lot of my stripes in living out in Silicon Valley doing the EIR gig, and over just a good amount of time you meet wonderful people, truly. And this is something I've had to come face to face with, is there's this saying, and it's your network is your net worth. And I'll tell you, I'm not a huge fan of the saying, but it is in some parts very, very true. And so I met a bunch of wonderful people, and just over the past 6 or so years, those folks and their own businesses have enabled me to build this agency to serve them.
Awesome. I love it. And so, Chris, what are you excited about now? A quick break in the podcast to tell you about Stealth, my white label marketing agency. If you're an agency owner and feeling stuck in fulfillment, hiring, and team management while trying to scale, this is for you. Stealth helps agency owners like you take fulfillment off your plate so you can focus on growth of your agency, from running ad campaigns and SEO to creating high converting content and managing CRMs. We handle the back end for your clients so you don't have to. Whether you're drowning in client work or struggling to scale your agency, Stealth gives you the support you need to scale without the headache. And if that sounds like a fit, then check out our website link in the description and book a time to speak with a consultant. And now back to the pod.
Gosh, dude, and at risk of being a bit of a meme here, it's the AI, as is I think any person should be. If you're, and I was actually going to frame it through if you're in business, but I think just even at a more macro level, us as a society should be thinking about AI, and maybe even more broadly, just automation in general and what it does. But I would frame it at that. AI and automation is really the exciting thing.
Yeah, for sure. And tell us a bit about the applications that you're using AI with right now.
Yeah. So I think it's important to align on a bit of an idea. And so we would suggest that at our agency, we're and there's been this proliferation of a new word or a new title in the past probably year or so, as driven by this company clay.com, that we are, as we would suggest, go-to-market engineers. And when we're go-to-market engineers, this means that we engineer along, as was suggested, the full funnel, that we engineer along marketing as it feeds into sales, as it feeds into the service and ops. And then we are a huge fan of winning by design, and they have a model where they say that your revenue cycle or your go-to-market strategy manifests as a bow tie. And we're all familiar with that giant funnel, and we know you got your top of funnel, feeds in the middle, and it narrows down. Well, they would suggest that it re-expands once you have the commit. That in our service and our ops, we can take these people from being just customers to zealots and evangelists for us. And so we focus very heavily on engineering along each of these stations. And so it's that from marketing, there's tons of cool AI stuff that's going on in that world. And what I will say is marketing, we're getting better at right now. And I can tell you a lot of stuff we're doing there, but I'll share, I think the real sauce that we're doing happens in a lot of the sales and the service stuff. And for outbound, there are 1.5 million things that we're doing. To frame it at a level, and we can choose how deep we go in, but to kind of frame it at a high level, a lot of the focus right now is around signals. And there's a conversation, I'm sure you probably harp on your team, as I do my team, where it's speed to lead. Speed to lead is such an important thing. We need to get to the individual once they've explicitly stated they have a pain. But there's a conversation that's emerging with these AI tools, and it's speed to signal is actually more important than speed to lead. And it's that we do this parallel, or rather this thought experiment with our clients, that pain doesn't exist as a 1 or a 0. And previously, unfortunately, our prospects almost needed to state explicitly that they had a pain. They would come to our website and fill out our form. Maybe they'll call in and say, hey, I want to find out about your service. But we know there's certain behaviors that happen that imply they might have the pain that we solve. And kind of the thought experiment that we do is we ask, hey, imagine, or do you have a child? Have you ever, been around little kids? And imagine business was like your kid hurts their arm and they run up to you and go, hey, I have a pain. I need you to help me. Take me to the hospital. But in some cases, your kid might just hold his arm. And you go, hey, what's going on over there, bud? Are you okay? And we're investigating the signal that our youngin is sending to us before they've explicitly stated they have a pain. And so in sales, there's a lot of really cool tools right now that enable speed to signal. They help us find the prospects when they're holding their arm. Maybe they didn't come to our website and say, hey, I have a pain, help me. But maybe there was a news article that was posted about their company, and it says Chick-fil-A is expanding 40 stores out into Atlanta. And well, we can set up AI that looks for the second that article gets posted, and it goes and finds everyone associated with the article, and it goes, hey, Jim, the CTO of Chick-fil-A, it goes and it finds his phone number, it goes and it finds all of his emails, all of these things. It can reach out to him and say, hey, I saw that you had this article posted about you. And usually when someone's expanding with 40 stores, it means that they have this pain. And he hasn't come to our website and let us know, but we can assume. And so it's this speed to signal thing is really kick-ass. And I'll pause there.
Yeah. No, and guys, you really want to, for whoever's watching this or listening, you really want to buckle down because Chris will take you on one hell of a ride, right? He's like pausing today because this is a podcast. And so this is out of, him being courteous to everyone, but he will go on spitting fire after fire.
This is, dude, this is just hilarious. I'm sure you run something like Fireflies or Granola.
Yeah.
I definitely make sure that I have your monologuing reminder set up because yes, I love talking about this stuff. And I have my AI go, Chris, shut up.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that's pretty cool. I'm going to be your AI today and tell you, Chris, shut up. And I'll be recapping things as we go live or as we go on. And, essentially, the first thing you're telling us about AI and what you're excited about using for your own company or potentially even for clients, right, is speed to signal as opposed to speed to lead, right? Whereas that's more of the traditional way, right? A lead submits a form and then you're going to go and reply to them and call them, whatever. Okay, that is something that AI is already doing, like voice AI. I know a lot of agencies that are already implementing that for themselves, for clients. Now, you're going a layer above, and I want everyone to really tune into this, where you're going speed to signal. And so you're reading all these signals about a potential like TAM, right? Exactly. And in that TAM, you have maybe all of your companies that you've defined. And from that point on, you go on to define what is a signal, and then you can read those. Now, how does the AI, what are the alerts that you're looking for, and how are those alerts surfaced for your clients or for yourself? And I'm getting you
These
pumped
are great
now, right?
questions.
I'm getting you pumped.
Yeah, these are great questions. Well, because I love the way you're thinking around this, and it's just an indictment of how excellent of a business person you are. Because what I would share is that a client comes to us. Imagine that Roku comes and they say, hey, we want to establish partnership channels. We want to do these things. And we have a whole process we go through where we establish ICP. Who's the ideal client profile, customer profile? What does this person look like? And the way we structure it is we have the industry, we have the segment, we have the persona or the title, we have the angles that we're going to attack this person through. Attack is, maybe a little bit of an aggressive word, but we like to do a kind of a combination into Echo Hormozy. We like doing something like better, faster, or cheaper as the angles that we sell to. And then we have a series of literary frameworks. Just, hey, we're going to send them a 4-sentence email. Are we going to give them this giant value add, whatever thing? And so we have this giant framework that we establish with the client. And then it is exactly as you suggested. We build a TAM TAM map. And so we take that ICP information and we find the info of every single person. In some cases, and we just did this for a client, we mapped every single school in the United States, every teacher, superintendent, wellness director, nurse. We have hundreds of thousands of emails, phone numbers. And I'll tell you, for this client, for $15,000, we made them $100 million in pipeline. It's truly mind-blowing. We're going to have a video coming out about this soon.
Oh,
it's
100 million in pipeline.
I want
That's
to cry about this.
incredible.
Oh,
Dude.
and we can dive into this one.
Let's dive into this one.
Yeah.
After, right?
Of
Finish
course.
that up. Let's
it's a
go
darn
back
good
into
story.
this.
Yes.
We want to hear that.
Oh, it's a darn good one, man. And I have a lot of thoughts on it that I'll share with you. Some things I could have done better in my own just journey, but it's kick-ass. The results are awesome. So we do that TAM map. We find all of that information about those people. And then part of that onboarding is that we're going to ask, or we're going to think, and we do generally start with, and we tell our clients, we want to be the filter for creativity. Give us your most ridiculous ideas. And, a lot of folks, and to kind of give a bridge here, we know a lot of signals that have existed over the past 5 years, like, did they raise funding? Did they have someone that swapped jobs and, it's a new CTO? Let's message them and say, hey, new CTO, your first 90 days at this org are really important. Have you considered this strategy? Whatever. And these are a lot of those more traditional signals that folks are familiar with. But there's things, again, as I suggested, that it could be a news story about a regulation has been posted. And we actually closed a meeting with GE Aerospace a few months back with this exact play, where we have AI listening to something like 100 different RSS feeds. And that AI is prompted, hey, listen or watch for stories that have the pain that we solve. And sure enough, it said, hey, there's a new flight regulation in aerospace that's come out, and fleets that are grounded with a certain amount of time, 6 months or more, need to have predictive fleet maintenance. And so this regulation gets posted, and our AI saw it, and within seconds, it found the information of the CTO of GE Aerospace and said, hey, Jim, with this regulation now in play, have you considered what you're going to be doing for your strategy? The reason I ask is because I was on your website and I couldn't find any mentions about predictive fleet maintenance. I would love to chat with you if you don't have a solution for this. And sure enough, this was in seconds of the story being posted. And he goes, holy crap, I haven't even heard about this yet. And I just looked it up, and yeah, I'm glad to, think, or rather know that you guys are already thinking about this. And it just rocked all of that. And so what I would share with you is a signal can be really, it's just a behavior pattern that the prospect would engage in that implies they have a pain we solve. And a really cool way, and I think an easy way for folks to understand this, is through website de-anonymization. This is a really, really popular thing lately, that we can de-anonymize the visitors that come to our website, both in B2C and B2B. And so what we do is, let's, again, thought experiment here. Someone comes to our website and we de-anonymize them. And we have our agent, it looks at the person that visits the website and it says, hey, let's look at all those ICP parameters. Let's look at their revenue. Let's look at their, population in the org. How long have they been around? What vertical? All of this stuff. And then we're going to watch that person. And maybe we don't do anything with that because visiting a website isn't a super strong signal. But let's imagine that we track them and they visit the website one more time within 7 days. And when they visit the website for that second time within 7 days, we check in HubSpot to see, did they fill out our form? And if they didn't, let's now reach out to them and say, hey, we saw that you were on our website, but I couldn't find you in the database. Would just love to be a resource for you if you have any questions. And that's a signal in and of itself. And this signal is much, much stronger, much more nuanced than, hey, I saw that you raised funding. Why would you visit my website twice within 1 week if there isn't maybe a pain here? And so, to kind of wrap up the idea is that, yes, we build out that TAM map. We think of all of those signals, the website visits, the funding, different regulatory things, news stories, and we track every single one of those thousands of people against all of those signals. And when they trigger, it's a series of things. Maybe it goes in the CRM and it assigns us tasks to the AEs that work at those orgs to, hey, follow up in the email sequencer. Go give them a call. Send them a gift. Whatever that is, or maybe it's in Limlist or another place like that.
Yeah, Chris, so this is super effective, right? I imagine for bigger companies, bigger solutions that have a lot of news articles out there. But it's also effective for smaller companies that, are getting visits, are running a lot of ads, right? Like we're running we're getting a lot of visits per day because we're running a lot of ads. And so there's a lot of like potential website visitors that are not booking calls, and we're never like reaching back out to them. Now, walk us through a bit more of like particular signals that would be effective for agency owners, because that's really our audience here, right? And so what are signals that it would be effective to have a speed to signal specifically for agency owners that are doing like, 10 to a million in revenue a month?
Yeah. So this is perfect. So the way I would frame this is that there are going to be, and we kind of joke internally, like the McDonald's signals, the ones that can service everyone. And those are kind of the ones I spoke to earlier, where it's that, if it's appropriate for you that you run a marketing agency and hey, we can see they raised their Series A, let's message them the second that that's announced. And there's a bunch of actually, and generally the gut launch on that is let's go look at Crunchbase and let's monitor that stuff. And well, I'll tell you, really these signals are as good as the databases that they come from, that we want to be as close to the origin of the signal as possible. And there's probably a news story that got posted on Y Combinator before it was posted on Crunchbase. So let's make sure that we're monitoring the actual correct sources of the signals. Food for thought for the folks listening to this that want to go and employ these strategies. So it's that there's funding, maybe. It's that we can look for, as I suggested, those job changes. Maybe it's that the company has a specific tech stack and you run, a agency that has a SaaS-enabled play where you have a really cool, as maybe Chris Morano from Blue Water Marketing, he's building a really cool marketing interface for his ads. And maybe what you do is you go out to these folks and you say, hey, our differentiator is this because I can see in your tech stack you're using these tools. And these tools have these problems, which I fixed with my own tool. I would love to chat with you about it. So evaluating tech stack. But what's more pressing is that we really need to consider what is the pain of the specific ICP that we solve. And this is why, I'll tell you, we harp so much on, you need to know your vertical. You need to know your ICP. We are defined in business by what we say no to, not what we say yes to. And if we say yes to everything, we have no definition. And well, use these McDonald's general signals. But when we know our ICP, we want to think of the signals that are very local to them. So let's zoom in maybe on a really specific example.
Let's do it. So let's think about, because this is something that I tell a lot of agency owners about. It's like ICP, and man,
oh my
it's
gosh,
so like easy to skip things in life. Like it's so easy to skip advice that you hear from like people that have success. And ICP is something that's thrown around so much that you're like, oh yeah, I have my ICP. It's like X, Y, and Z. No, dude, you got to get like deep into their desires and their pain points. Like that's how you're going to create successful ad campaigns and targeted messaging. So Chris, like what are the things that you like to define when it comes to ICP? You mentioned one about like tech stack. What is their tech stack? Like, so another is like, what are the news that they care about? What are the news sources that they care about? What keeps them up at night? What makes them excited to wake up in the morning?
What makes their eyes light up? Exactly. Yeah. So what I'll share with you is we're actually really militant about establishing our ICP because, I'll share pretty bluntly. When you go and play with the big boys, you go sit in the room with Jacuzzi and, well, I'm going to tell you, you don't get to go over to this question, hop to this question, hop to this question without them going, yeah, this guy's an idiot and we wasted our money. And what I'll tell you again is we're very structured. And so we break it down into a few different parent groups. And I'll share that I don't think anything revolutionary, but again, structure is very important. And then we can iterate off of the structure. But it's that we look at firmographics, demographics, psychographics, And actually, I can pull up because as I'm going down these, I went, oh, crud. What is it? Demographics, firmographics, psychographics. There's another one that I'm leaving out. Technographics, excuse me. And then the behavior patterns of this person. And so these are going to be we have these giant questionnaires. And inside of each of these, there's something like 20 to 30 different questions that fall under each of those parent categories. And so again, we want to look at, how many employees do they have? How much money are they making? What are the pains? How do they think? What are their behavior patterns? What tech do they use? How much money, all of this stuff. How many conferences do they attend, every year? And we try to define this person and really down to every data point that could exist around them. We try to build out that profile. And so, yeah, that would be kind of those parent groups, firmographics, technographics, demographics.
I love it, dude. Yeah. I absolutely love you, dude. I absolutely love you. You're insane, okay? We're going to have a lot of short form content as well. And so I already got 2 sick ones. We're definitely going to have the ICP definition as one of the short forms so people like out there can, get like a quick idea on practical ways to, that you generated value for them. We're also going to have medium form cuts. So if you're, like if people are watching on YouTube, like the short form or the medium form, they can get these bite-sized before they jump and listen to this podcast. Now, zooming back or going back a little bit to what we were talking about, and zooming into an agency, right? Let's talk about a use case here so people can follow along.
I've got a really
and let's pick an agency that sells like marketing services to private schools, right? Yeah. So let's think about private universities and technical schools. If they are selling a marketing agency to private schools or technical schools, how would they define signals that would be important for them in order to create alerts and potentially reach out?
So because, and I can provide a really good example for signals on the roofing ones. And so just kind of food for thought is, what are we trying to sell? And let's make sure that the list of people that we're selling this thing to is very pointed. In most cases, and I will say this very, very damn near definitively, it is that in most cases, a smaller list is better than a big list. That we want to be very pointed about the amount of people we're reaching out to. That I'll tell you, if we're spraying and praying, we haven't defined our ICP. We haven't defined the pain, the problem that we're truly solving. Now, if you're doing messaging discovery, that is okay. A bigger list is necessary. But if we're really trying to sell something, we want to be specific, militant about it, like a little special forces team. So, for this school, my thought is, and let's just assume maybe we want to help a private school sell PPC, or we want to sell them our PPC service ourselves. And they run ads. And let's assume, the first thing that I do is I want to take stock of what kind of ads do they run. And so we all know that you can view ads libraries. And so this is something that we do, is that we set up an agent that will watch ads libraries. So for marketing, marketing agencies is something I would suggest you do. So maybe there's a target of, let's just say 10,000 higher education colleges that run ads towards incoming high schoolers. Well, what we can do is we can use an agent, and let's just say we use a tool like Clay. You know my love for Clay. And so that maybe we can use this agent that goes down all of these schools, all 10,000 of them, and it gets the links for all of their ads libraries, and it starts monitoring all of their ads libraries every single day. And it monitors them for their spend, for if the creatives are being updated. Maybe the agent, we plug in ChatGPT's visual recognition into it, and we have it analyze the ads. And we have the agent think of ways those ads can be improved. And so immediately we have some tracking on signals. What are they doing with their spend? Are they changing their ads out frequently? Could these ads be improved? And these are all, in their own ways, signals. And so you can set up a chain of logic here. If the ads could be more creative, let's suggest these things. If their spend is going up and down daily, well, let's speak to consistency. Let's help them be better. Let's reduce their risk and reduce their cost. And then again, if it's that we see a bunch of ads coming in, a bunch of ads going out, we can say, hey, we see that you're iterating a lot. Glad to see that. Iteration tempo is super important. We have this awesome system we've set up internally that can help you improve this. Can I shoot you over a demo? And well, I would say that would be where I would start, probably just at a kind of a high level. Let's go and look at their ads and let's gather all of that data around it. Let's have our agent monitor all of that data daily and, well, reach out when we see these things changing.
Wow. Now that is super cool, dude. You never like surprised me at making me surprised. I always know that my mind is going to be blown away.
Yes.
It's like, a lot of agency owners know to look at like ad libraries. Now, how do you do that at scale?
Yes.
Right? How do you do that in a way that you're picking up a lot of super good insights, having AI work for you in terms of analyzing the quality of those ads, and then giving you the perfect message that's going to be super custom to how like the decision maker in the school is going to interpret the data and be like, wow, this guy is analyzing my ads, and it said that I'm not creating variations enough and just running the same ad with the same point over and over.
Oh yeah.
He's also talking about testing like the specific pain points that my ads haven't touched that would be super important to my target audience.
Yes.
What in the heck is this guy talking about? I want to speak to this man. And I've never heard, or this lady, and I've never heard anyone talk about that. I never even thought about it. And so,
oh, dude, we
guys,
do things
if you're listening to that now, let's go on to the next example before the next question, which is going to be, how the heck, Chris, do you implement this stuff? And how the heck do you reach out to them? And so let's go to the solar one and come back around.
So, and really quick, what I'll say too, you can even do things like you can watch your competitors' ads. And if you see someone engaging with it, you could reach out to that engager and go, hey, saw that you were on the competitor's ad. They're pretty good, but we think we're a little better. Could I shoot you over my product? And now you're just retargeting their spend. So there's a lot of cool stuff you could do. Okay, so it wasn't solar, it was roofing. But I'll just share that. No worries. So what I'll share is there are some freaking awesome databases, and let's just assume we sell maybe marketing to roofing guys, and we want to only work with marketers that are maybe taking on roofing groups that are taking on a certain amount of jobs. And so remember, earlier in the conversation, I brought up that we want to be as close to these data sources where they originate, these wells, right where the wellspring is. And well, we know that when there's roofing projects happening, the county hands out lots of permits to different companies. And these are generally in public databases. And so we do things with partners that run, for instance, roofing agencies, where we look at a database like Shovels. And I would encourage folks here, if you do anything that has permitted work, to take a look at the Shovels database. And we watch the Shovels API for certain deviations in the amounts of permits that are being handed out to certain groups. And then what we do is we have an AI that runs something like a math calculation. And we say, hey, Jim, I see that you're getting this many jobs. I see also that you're using this type of material on those jobs. This usually means that you have these costs and these pains. If that's the case, we have these solutions and we do a pattern break. No need for a meeting. Could I shoot you over a video that shows how we rock? And I will tell you, we're getting the second we're seeing that, hey, this guy got a permit. He's now getting a message where we're showing him, we know his pain. Hey, we see you're getting a lot of permits. You're using this type of material. And we're showing him, again, we know his pain. This is very important. Stating the signal is not good enough. Hey, Jim, saw that you got a lot of permits. If you're thinking about it, we do this. We need to show them. What does that mean? Hey, Jim, you're getting a lot of permits and you're using this material. So that probably means you have this pain. If that's the case, I'd love to show you this. And so the second, again, these people are getting those permits, you can reach on out to them. And that speed to signal is, you're ahead of every other freaking marketing agency that ever wanted to cold call the guy. You got him the second the permit came out. And he went, holy crap. How did you know? And we say something, and I think I mentioned this earlier. We want to send these people an email they would have paid to receive. Yeah, he would have paid a consultant to go, hey, Jim, you're getting a lot of permits. You're using this type of material. To reduce your cost, you probably could be using this type of tool. I think we should investigate that. You just sent that guy the email, and he's going, holy shit, man, I would have paid to have someone tell me this. Yeah. This is super important.
Chris, break that up a little bit more for us, right? So everybody understands. Let's say that you're a roofing company
Yeah.
And you're setting up AI to look into the permits database, right?
Yeah.
A specific one that you mentioned. It's called Shovels.
Yeah, Shovels. Yep.
Shovels.
Shovels
And
API.
so Shovels API.
That's everyone will call it. You got to use the Shovels API. You'll hear this.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So you get those signals, you see the type of material that they're buying. Now, how does that become important? Like, what is the messaging that a marketing agency would want to send to somebody getting permits?
Yeah, so it's as I stated previously. And you can have a bunch of different literary mechanisms, and you can say, people really get into the weeds on this. Do we do Josh Braun, poke the bear? Do we use this 4-sentence structure? Do we do pain-based, value-based? What type of email do we send? And really come back to these first principles, the core tenets. Reduce the fraction. Show the person we know their pain. Show them we have a solution to that pain. And then don't waste their time. Give them something, and we say this, we shove this down the throats of our clients. We really yell from the mountaintops about this. We want to offer them something in this email that's worth money. Asking someone just bluntly for a meeting, unfortunately in 2025, doesn't really work too well. People are really busy, and they have a million AI-generated emails in their inboxes that are junk, and they're all asking for a meeting. And so we tell everyone, we need to offer this person, again, an email they would have paid to receive. And not only that, show them that we know their pain, show them that our offer solves that pain. And in your call to action, let's offer them something that's potentially worth money. Hey, Jim, I see that you got these signals. We have this solution. Would love to give you a month free on our platform to show you that it kicks ass. I'm so confident that you're going to love it. You'll never leave. And so we're giving him something he knows is worth money. I'm not saying, hey, I want to get into a meeting with you and, in quotes, waste your time. And so there's a really important parallel. I have a fun parallel here, actually, that gentlemen tend to understand very inherently here, because a lot of us have maybe been in a situation like this. And I say something, and we'll come back to that language here in a moment, but I say something that's really important, and this parallel will serve that. It's that, let's imagine, or I'll give you an assertment here. Relationship building, regardless of if it's intimate or in business or wherever in the world, friendships is damn near the same. And where I'm going with this is, let's do a thought experiment. You have a Victoria's Secret angel model that's said, yep, I'll go out to dinner with you, Chris. And, oh my gosh, how has this happened? Like, Chris is he's a cool guy, but he's maybe not Victoria's Secret angel level cool. And she said, yeah, I'll go out to dinner. And well, we know that because Chris isn't 10 times better than any other guy, I need to provide value at this dinner. I get to pay for dinner. I get to give her a good conversation. And well, maybe Chris wants to take her home that night. But the reality is that if I don't do something 10 times better than every other guy, this is to say, if I'm not Brad Pitt, I don't get to go, hey, let's go home this first night. I get to go back to dinner the second time. And in business, if we don't do something 10 times better than our competitors, and this prospect inherently knows that, we don't get to ask them for the meeting on the first date. You don't get to ask to take them home with the outcome that you want on the very first outreach. Nope, you get to provide them value. Now, of course, if you are ChatGPT or you're, Anthropic, you're OpenAI, and you're reaching out to someone, yeah, you get to ask for the meeting right away because you're Brad Pitt. Me, I run an agency. I'm going to provide you a little bit of value first, as much as I love myself. So we need to provide that value. We need to give this to them. And so this is, I think, a very important thing to keep in mind.
Yeah.
And,
hey, a quick reminder for agencies out there: you're not Brad Pitt, okay? So provide value.
We all love ourselves.
I love that. Chris, let's circle back and talk a little bit about the. It's been like 35 minutes already, so like we're moving on fast. I didn't even realize that. Time flies with you, brother. And so let's circle back to like, how can agencies implement this? Like, how can you share some of like, the first steps so they can start learning a bit more of how to implement this? And yeah, give them an idea so they have a takeaway after listening to you here.
Absolutely. And so I had a thought as well, is that maybe we could put together a package where we give some of these marketing agencies just some examples of some of the really successful copy and campaigns that we've been using, just as, kind of an asset for them. I'd love to provide that. But to answer your question, My thoughts are, and I would encourage you, literally man to man, man to woman, just heart to heart here, that it is so deeply important for you. If you want to stay competitive, you enjoy running a business, this is something you see yourself doing in the long term, you need to get in bed immediately with automation. It is non-negotiable, literally non-negotiable. And I'll make you the appeal on a human level, not even a business owner. I worry about you, the person listening in your community, and I think it is very important. If you're listening to this, you're probably a leader of some kind. And these are the tools that are going to enable you to lead and provide for your people better. I believe this truly in the deepest part of my heart, that these tools allow us to play with two really parent variables here. How much of the thing can we do, the volume, and how fast can we do it, the velocity. And so I would encourage, if you're listening to this and you're not already familiar with a tool, and I would say start out with something like potentially Make or Zapier. But if you're already maybe, into that and that's play stuff for you, I would say really the spot that you should be at right now and you should be spending a good amount of time learning is with N8N. So N8N.io is a phenomenal tool. It is so darn excellent that there's jokes right now in all of the VC world and all of the investment world that all of the SaaS tools coming out are just N8N flows with a Lovable or a Bolt front end put onto them. And the joke is, or rather the reality is that people that don't have super technical backgrounds can use these automation tools, use these, these platforms to build out automations, to build out things that are going to enable you to do more of what you're doing and to do it faster. It's going to allow you to iterate on your on your offering quicker than ever, on what you're doing. And, there's a term I brought up earlier, iteration tempo. This is a very freaking important thing. You need to be iterating. We all know this, but how fast are you iterating? And these tools like N8N are going to help you iterate quick. They're going to help you drill down, as we agreed on, the ICP. It's super important to know. We have to iterate quickly to figure that out, or we have to iterate rather, but let's do it quickly. And so N8N would be a non-negotiable tool. The second, and for me, if you run your own outbound, if you have inbound coming into your website, I would say that clay.com, Clay as a tool is, again, this is another non-negotiable one. And I would say that maybe you don't have to be hyper and deeply familiar with the platform, but someone on your team should be. I don't know a single good agency owner that hasn't at least spent a couple hours inside of Clay. Almost every dude that I know has at least put a little bit of time into it, and you better have. And if you haven't, we're going to do a one-on-one session. And so everyone should be doing it. So Clay is non-negotiable. It's this beautiful, beautiful kind of spreadsheet-esque tool that allows you to plug all these different APIs into it and have them talk to each other, and you can build wonderful logic from it. And all of these cool AI things, I will tell you, and I will say very bluntly, I'm a sharp dude. I am not by any means the smartest guy in the room. And I'm telling you, I am making so many freaking damn cool things with this stuff. I just had, as we were chatting, the founder of Lovable shared one of my videos the other day, which is mind-blowing. And again, I'm not some kid that went to MIT. I'm not some genius that built some massive tech company. And you have guys that are, $2 billion companies in a few months, going, oh yeah, this guy's doing cool stuff. You should check out his videos. That's mind-blowing. Anyone can do this stuff. So to kind of recap, because I'm a professional yapper, N8N, non-negotiable. Clay would be the other one that I would check out. And we use these as a combination of tools that enable us to do darn near anything. Very finally, kind of as maybe a tertiary, another option is something like V0 or Vercel or Bolt, Lovable, Replit. One of those builders as well would be awesome. And I would deeply encourage someone to check those out. Those are just fun.
Yeah, for sure. And so I think it's a bit complex for you to just explain like different use cases right now. And we probably want to skip to some other cool topics. Yeah. Now, if you want, Chris, you suggested like some sort of like step-by-step guide. And so what we can do is just put a step-by-step guide on how somebody can get started, agency owners can get started. And what we need you to do is just give Joao, myself, and Chris a follow on Instagram. And I'm linking in the show notes below our Instagram. And then just DM either of us Wizard And we're going to send you that Google Doc with like a step-by-step on how you can implement these signals and these speed to signal for your agency. And we're going to highlight, the roofing example of how to set that up for a roofing agency. And so you can just model that for whatever niche you have. And so make sure to follow us on our Instagram accounts linked in the description below. And DM one of us, Wizard. We're going to send you that Google Doc that we're putting together, okay? All right, sweet. And so moving on here, man, let's talk about Lovable for a second. That's a company that's worth billions of dollars, right?
Yeah.
And the founder of it retweeted or like shared your LinkedIn video.
Yeah. So
what did it talk about? Give us a little bit more about that.
Yeah. So what I'll share with you, and again, and what I feel very strongly that our agency is doing better than probably almost every other agency in our vertical, is we're really embodying go-to-market engineering along the full funnel. A lot of folks that do what we do kind of zoom into just sales. And well, I'm a bit of you can probably tell if you've even listened to a moment of this, an opinionated person. And well, I'll stand on my opinions and what I believe. And so I'll tell you, I've kind of been championing this thought as we let in on this conversation with that go-to-market engineering is not just sales efforts. It is marketing efforts as they feed into sales efforts, as they feed into our service and our ops efforts. And then again, those cycle back to the top of the funnel. So I've had this giant rant where I'll share with you. I put on my wizard hat and I literally dressed up as a wizard and I screamed at the camera with a giant wizard staff and I yelled about how no one is doing this correctly. And then I proceeded to show how I used Clay, and I'm going to use a term that folks should get familiar with. I used Clay as a data orchestration tool. So I brought in a bunch of data from our customer service desks. So we run customer service for a bunch of really, really awesome brands. And so what I did was, and I'll share, brands like Gorgeous today or Zendesk or these giant customer service platforms, they're going to charge you a lot of money for quality assurance. And if you've ever run a service team, quality assurance is damn important. We need to know what our agents are doing. And so, and I'll share just food for thought. If you're not coaching on it, you're condoning it. Remember this, folks. So we need to think about, hey, what are our folks doing? Let's look at quality assurance. And well, again, Gorgeous, Zendesk, they charge a lot. We're talking $100 extra per every seat. And if you run in a team of 10 folks, well, that's $1,000 a month. You're looking at $12,000 a year, and dude, that adds up as you scale teams. And so what we did was we went into the APIs of these tools. We then took out all of the different ticket data. We set up some data streams. We hooked that into Clay, and Clay now ingests every ticket that any of our agents ever do. And we set up inside of Clay, there's something called a Claygent. And our Claygent, it's a playful word for an AI agent, watches every ticket that comes in. And we have a series of agents and prompts that have rubrics, scores, behaviors that they judge every ticket. And then we have it attached to a Lovable dashboard that displays all of the quality assurance metrics. It has a coaching interface for our coaches. And I built this, and I kid you not, folks, it is this easy. I built it in less than 48 hours while playing Marvel Rivals on this monitor. And then on my second monitor, in between every game, I went, okay, there's my prompt. And then I went back to playing my video game. And then Monday morning, I posted my video. And literally in less than probably 4 actual hours of work, I had made a video that went viral about how we used Clay to orchestrate all of our customer service quality assurance data, and then we pump it into this cool Lovable dashboard, and we coach off of that dashboard. And we basically saved, our clients $10,000+ every year, and for every single one of our clients, and they all use this tool now. So,
wow. That's super cool, man.
Yeah.
Like, you can do that so quickly too, because your mind just is creative and you think out of the box, but also because you've been exposed to a lot of different solutions in tech, right? You lived in the Silicon Valley for a while. I did as well. I'm sure that you've talked to founders for every kind of solution. So I think that creativity sometimes, or a lot of times, is being able to take things from one industry to the other and just sort of like see what works in one place and then bring it along, like that use case for another industry. And so your mind just is fluid like that. And so you just have the tool, right? Like you're not the greatest engineer in the world, but you have been able to become one of the greatest engineers in the world because you know how to leverage Clay and you know how to leverage init and things like that. And that speaks to, you know, the value that you offer as a consultant, as an agency owner, as a product creator. And so people listening out there, really tap into Chris. I'm going to leave, you know, in the description his Instagram, a way that you can get in touch, his website. And so I think there's a lot of opportunities that he can create for your business, for your agency. And now I want to go and talk about the case study that has generated over
Yes.
$100 million in
Yes.
pipeline from
Yes.
one of your little babies, your creation.
Yes.
So Chris,
Yep.
give us the sauce on that.
Okay, so let me just assert something because you kind of stepped on a landmine of something that we talk about so intimately internally, and I would just it's something that again I think is so important for you and every listener to come face to face with. And I will share that we talk internally about like what is our competitive differentiator, what really makes charm. And there's kind of a thing that's being said if you know you're on TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, and the influencer circles that the Rick Rubins of the world will soon win. That the ideas guys are going to be the, in quotes, winners. And what they mean by this is that all of these AI tools, all of these things that allow us to, as I touched on earlier, do more of stuff, more volume, and they allow us to do that stuff quicker, we're going to average out all of our behavior patterns against each other. So if you're using these tools, it's going to be the averages of all of the best practices. And well, all of the stuff that we do inside of the internet is probably going to end up in just inside of something that resembles a ChatGPT interface, and we give it a plain text prompt and it goes and does all of this stuff. And where does it call on to execute all of that stuff? On, again, the averages of all of the best practices that everyone else has done forever. So the inverse of this statement is that in the very near future, your main differentiator, your competitive differentiator is going to be your creativity. That what can you think of? Because anything you can think of, you're going to be able to do instantly. And there's always been this joke that, yeah, ideas guys are as good as the air. Anyone can think of ideas. Well, the reality is that ideas guys are about to eat more than ever. And that I'm going to be able to think of an idea just like that quality assurance dashboard and connect it into this interface. And boom, in less than a weekend of playing Marvel Rivals, I can make that. And well, dude, you and I probably know you've been doing business a while. It would have been even 2 years ago. I would have had to have paid an offshore team something like $10,000 minimum to have that built. And I would have probably had, a few months of lead time on it, and I did it in my underwear playing a video game. It is hilarious, this parallel here. So creativity is paramount. I would just encourage everyone to come face to face with this. How do we become more creative? Okay, yeah. So to answer the actual question here, so we did this awesome thing, man. I'll tell you, we kick ass specifically in ed tech. And I'll share kind of one of the reasons for this is that we are, and I've suggested multiple times, really, we want to have the most, I think, the highest fidelity, most pure data, the best signal on the data. And well, when you sell to education, the government makes it so that all of the data has to be public. How much money they're raising, the grants they're receiving, if they have demarcation for poor performance at the school, whatever it is, all of this data is forward-facing. And so we aggregate, we have, just a swarm of agents at this point that are watching all of these different federal databases for hiring information, again, like therapy funding, everything you can imagine. And so that's actually what this individual, or rather this group, sells. And I will be clear, they have a phenomenal competitive differentiator to the point that you would be an idiot to not say yes to it. And this is something I want to put in the minds of everyone. When you see all those lead gen guys going, oh, we're killing it, we're getting 50 meetings a month, they probably are selling a really damn good offer. There is another side to this on the other part of it. And I'm not going to discount them. They probably are doing everything right and they kick ass. But you can't do that unless you have a really good offer. And so these people have a phenomenal offer. And what they do is that during COVID, unfortunately, a lot of the therapy that was occurring for elementary school students had to be moved to to digital. And now, today in America, it is that 100% of all of the therapy that happens for elementary school students is happening now digitally. And this company is the very first company, and they have a good amount of funding behind them, to bring the therapy back in physically to schools. And so you can imagine there's a pain that's happening. And for the folks that aren't necessarily based in America, what I'll share is, well, the Department of Education is being defunded. And a lot of the money that existed for different online therapy that might have been in some cases a little more expensive or differentiated, we had to get special types of instructors for this. Well, a lot of that money is drying up. And so, as a result, this company is saying, hey, we can bring these therapy centers back into the school. We can do it for $1 a student. We have all these wonderful guarantees, and there's kind of a framework that we use. This is the solution. This is the benefit that comes along with that solution. This is the time frame, and this is the guarantee. And if you maybe even think to your own ads, you've probably, this is what we're going to do. This is the benefit. This is the time frame. And we'll do this in 1 week. And if you don't do it in 1 week, you get all of your money back. And we know this. And so we have this, value prop. This is what we're going to do. It's dirt cheap. We set up in less than a week, and we have all these federal guarantees. And I'll tell you, and this was a mistake on my side, and I'll tell you, we're charging them something like $5,000 a month to help run these campaigns for them. And all of a sudden we see that we're getting something like 10 positive responses from schools every day going, yes, please, let's talk about this. Like we need help with this exact thing. And I'm going, oh my goodness, this is one of the most successful campaigns I've ever seen. Like, this is insane, man, every day. And I'll share that I made a mistake. And this is where I'm speaking to other folks. Oh, yep, absolutely. And we have to be honest with others. Look yourself in the mirror, and you gotta have that talk with yourself. And what I did incorrectly was this group came in through a referral, and I ran a very loose sales process, and I didn't ask all of the questions that I would have normally asked. And I'll tell you, in sales, and some folks know, when you're killing it, you're the golden child. They love you. And the calls go from, let's take a look at our metrics, to, oh my gosh, this is so amazing. What are we going to do next? And it's hilarious. I'm sure agency owners, y'all can corroborate this in your own ways. And so, I get into one of these calls. Our first week we come back, I think like 20 positive responses on this. And I'm like, yeah, I'm feeling pretty good. We're on track for 80 for the month. I think this is good. And I ask the question that I should have asked in the sales process. What's your average contract value? How much is each of these positive responses worth to you? I didn't ask that damn question. And well, they go, Chris, every single one of these is $2.5 million. And I went, son of a freaking gun. Are you kidding me? And so we look at the pipeline, and I go, in 1 week, 20 times 2.5. Oh my God, we made you 50 mil in our first week. And they are now, and I'll share, they're blowing up, and we have that contract renewal coming up. So we might negotiate that growth partner model. But it is something that I slap myself on the wrist as you're looking like 15,000. Like, it's awesome. It's not anything to scoff at, but gosh darn it. It could have been a lot better if I had just asked one damn question, and I slapped myself on the wrist for that, but it's okay.
Yeah. Wow, that's crazy, man. I feel like you're getting paid. You should be getting paid more to put it
on this one. Oh, I know.
Yeah.
I want it. Trust me, it's one of the ones where you go, you cry your big boy tears. You go, God damn it, how did I mess this one up? But man, dude, this is a truth of business, and this, is that the only thing that is guaranteed is mistakes, things going wrong. Resilience is the defining factor for success. And so, yeah, it sucks, man, and I can go cry all my tears, and yeah, sometimes you get them out. I wake up the next day and go, all right, hell yeah, that was fun. Let's do it again.
Chris, tell us, I feel like it's pretty obvious to me. I would be able to answer this myself. Now, to make it obvious for everyone listening, what is, what is the big opportunity for agencies that are looking to sell AI services right now, right? Like, a lot of them are selling, voice or sales, like AI voice-enabled sales, qualifying things, right? So like speed to lead.
Yes.
They're selling, I don't know, some other like ways that local businesses can be leveraging AI. But what do you think is the real opportunity for AI agencies to make money, for the second half of 2025?
Absolutely. So let me give you just a quick kind of story to lead on with this. So about a year and a half ago, I was talking with a good buddy. He's a really, really high up over at Google Cloud, and I was chatting with him. He helps run their sales, and I was chatting with him about layoffs that Google was doing. And I said, "Yo, are you all like worried about what's going on?" And he looks at me and he laughs. And he goes, "Fuck no, no, I'm not." And I go, "Why? Like, why aren't you worried?" And he goes, "Dude, I'm so close to the money. Nothing will, like, there's no problem. They're not going to let me go." And this phrase, "close to the money," has lived in my head ever since. And I'll share with you. It's funny because I have a perspective. I get to see a lot of different sales cycles. I can see a sales cycle for a e-commerce brand that just wants to buy customer service. I get to see a sales cycle for an agency, or rather maybe an ed tech company that wants to buy our sales services. And what I'll tell you is there's a function here. The closer to the money that your service is, the more willing someone is to make a decision on buying your service. So I go, "Hey, we can maybe potentially achieve this outcome, that we can get 30 meetings, in the month. This will lead to this much pipeline for you. These are, our projections." And they go, "Oh, cool. It could make me this much money. That's exciting." Versus on service, it's, "This will save me money. Okay, let me think with my team, like we'll talk," and it's not exciting. It's not as close to, or at least perceived as close to the money. And so the velocity on the deal is slower. And I think velocity is something we need to be thinking about very, very deeply right now. We need to be moving quickly. And so I would think about this as one of my parent parameters for deciding the thing I would sell. How can I, sell the thing quickly? And maybe even in that, is the thing that I sell quickly, is it something that helps them do stuff more quickly? So anyway, velocity is very darn important here. And I think the opportunity looks like selling to things that are close to the money. Marketing agencies, yep, you guys, you're close to the darn money. It should be pretty easy for you to think of things like, hey, we can do AI UGC type stuff. We can, generate creatives. And you can go down a ton of stuff. I actually chatted with a gentleman who has a freaking awesome system he showed me the other day at his PPC agency, where they're rotating thousands and thousands and thousands. They have all of these matrix and logic and algorithms set up to test thousands of different ad creatives. And they have all these systems, that track everything they've set up, and they have it all AI ran. You could set these up for clients. You could do that. And so anyway, to kind of pull this back down, what can we sell to them that's close to the money? This is what I would encourage you to think about. Sales related things, marketing related things. Let's look at the funnel in their ops. Are they very supply chain focused? Are they importing? Are they in the business of arbitrage? Okay, well, that's close to the money for them. Can we do something that's related to supply chain? And so, yeah, I think that they're going to be willing to make those decisions quicker. It's very important right now, obviously. And those guys tend to, they're more secure. They're not worried about introducing a new tool, introducing a new agency. Yeah. So that would be my suggestion.
No, I love that. I think what speaks out to me that you just talked about, and the narrative that I feel like it's going on in this make money with AI agencies in 2025, is that we're just tapping into this new way for entrepreneurs, agency owners to make money, which is selling AI software, AI service, right? Now, we're in the stages where agencies are still making money selling generic solutions, where and not that many niches have been explored, right?
Yes.
And so, Chris, what I'm reading from what you're saying is that you need to get more nitty-gritty with the use case that you're solving and to who you're solving that, right?
Absolutely.
And in terms of thinking about the nitty-gritty, you want to pick something that's closer to the money, right?
Yes.
How is the flow of the money going in and out of that business? Or not in and out. How is that flow coming into that business? Because you want to be selling ways to make money and not to save money, right?
Bingo. Because yes. Imagine selling an ops service. Hey, we're going to automate your client onboarding and all of this. And it's like, I can kind of see the ROI on this, versus we're going to build an AI agent that literally listens to 1,000 different news stories every single day. It picks the 5 most important ones, sends you all of the emails of every person, contacts it. Yeah, this is much more exciting. I'll make a decision on that today. And I can sell 50 of those before I can sell 5 of the ops revisions.
Yeah. Now, okay, and so that's, how if you're looking to make money with AI, selling, automations, if you want to create a product, you already have, your first steps to take. You got to have experience, right? So you got to understand the pain points of your clients, the use case specifically, and how that's actually going to make them a lot more money, right? For pennies on the dollar, essentially, to how much you're charging your clients. And hopefully that pennies on the dollar is, a lot of money for yourself. Now, Chris, man, I want to understand how you're thinking about, AI solutions in terms of a service provider as opposed to a product creator, right? Because you have the ability to create a product that is going to be scalable and sell and generate results, generate value for so many different businesses. However, you can also be selling your service to like a handful of businesses and still making a lot of money. Now, how do you kind of think about whether to sell more service versus create a product that's truly scalable?
Yeah, that is a very darn good question. And so, I think what we want to do is we actually want to avoid the binary here. We want to avoid thinking 0 and 1, that we either do the service or we do the product. And kind of just as I'm porting this question onto my own agency and our evolution, I'm realizing, and I think even as I'm considering some of the groups that I'm in with other agency owners, a lot of our services and what we're starting to sell is our creativity, kind of as I touched on earlier, that we are going to install our creativity at these 3 stations: marketing, sales, or customer service. And our creativity is going to exist in context of the systems, the staff, the workforce management. We're going to handle all of that for you. And so what we need to do in some cases is we have a responsibility to, again, our client to be as creative as possible, to save them money, to make them money however we can. And so, well, that might manifest as building a tool for 4 hours of your week in Lovable, that maybe it's just a micro product, a micro SaaS that you use internally, and you have built a product that is essentially a scalable product, but maybe you're not taking it fully to the forward-facing market. Maybe it's just for your internal clients. And, well, it's not, again, that you either have the product or you don't. You're providing the service, but now, again, you have this micro SaaS internally. You have a product that goes along with your service. And so kind of it's this like twisting of these snakes, like there's a crystal ball where there's the whirling of all of the, the magic essence inside. It's not that there's a start point or an end point, and I think this is where we're going, in that you need to just be comfortable making a product. And it's not that you decide you make a service or you make a product. It's that I will be, and you align again at this like first principles level, I will just be creative. And whatever being creative means, if it's building you a purpose-built product, if that's, well, delivering a service, we're going to do that. And, well, I will say that you better charge appropriately for that creativity, but it is that, yes, we are going to sell that creativity. So I would say, maybe if you're early in the journey, be principled about, am I going to start with a product? Am I going to start with a service? Choose your starting point. But, and I'll tell you, and at risk of kind of getting esoteric, like philosophical here, I suspect that in the very near future, this truth that's existed for almost all of reality, where businesses can plant a flag and they could say, we do this for 200 years. We go to America, we gather sugarcane, we come back to Europe, that's what we do. Well, I suspect this ability to plant your flag and definitively say that this is what we do as a business, at least if you're digital, is going to disappear. And you're going to have to change your value prop from we just run ads to running ads is one of our core competencies, but the market is evolving so rapidly. New methods of doing things, new tools are coming out daily, that we are going to be a partner that just creatively evaluates those for you and provides you the next path or the next steps. And so, yes, I think that there's going to be this shift from this is what we do to we're creative and we're going to figure out what's best for you in the near future. Yeah, and I don't know when the moment this switch will flip, but we're starting to feel this internally as our clients come to us and, we have what they signed for in the contract. They're like, hey, Chris, this new tool came out. Can we use this? Can we check this out? And, previously we go, hey, it's outside of scope, but this is happening so much now. Every day almost a client's going, hey, have you seen this? Have you seen this? Have you seen this? And we're starting to realize we can't just go, we're not going to look at that for you. We have to. If we want to work with them, we're going to go learn it for you. Don't worry. And so, yeah, this is very important.
Yeah, I love how you think about it in terms of not either or, but in terms of this and that, right? You can also, you're an agency, you're a service provider, but you can also be using or working with a partner to create these tools and these solutions. I mean, I know I have for sure, right? Like since our meeting 6 months ago, since we met 6 months ago, I started to build some tools of my own, right? And so we just launched, you probably see my stories. I launched Account Watch. And so, did you see it?
Yeah.
So it's a built out tool. We've been using it for a whole month now internally with over 150 clients. It basically reads all of your client Slack messages and it provides you a lot of different insights. It even has GPT, like a chat box where you can ask whatever question, like, hey, what's my client that's interested in this service? List them out, right? Like, what is, my best account manager? Like, you just unlock. And here's the thing, Chris. Hold on, Chris. Hold on. Stop talking, Chris. Stop talking. Let me go on now, my passion for AI, okay?
It's so cool.
We just unlock creativity at context, right? And so I think creativity at context, it's like the gold mine right now, right? It's being able to come up with ideas and work with AI, ask questions to AI, where it's going to provide you answers with the specific context that you need it to have. So my agency, for example, right? I have all of like these clients that we white label for these agency owners, and we have Slack channels for all of them. Now, one of my questions for AI, reading all of these conversations is, how do I double my revenue in the next 6 months? Right? Create a plan for that. And it mapped out all of the agencies, all of the clients that I have that have a potential for upsell that is not at risk for churning. And so they're more prone to hear like an upsell opportunity. And also like, what service could I be selling to them? Right? Now think about having this tool work for your agency, read and have all of the context of how your clients are communicating. And now think about an idea. Like, let's say you have an idea of like, oh man, I just listened to this podcast of Joao and Chris, and I love the idea of NAN and Clay for my niche, right? Let's say like the private education niche of reading like signals from the government and something that would be useful for private education, right? Now, think about upselling them that service or that automation for an additional like $3,000 a month. And have it mapped out, have like AI create a specific custom message for every channel and assign your account manager to send that message out. Or even like potentially like automate
right
that.
Now hearing this, I might have a project. I said I'm a little envious hearing this right now. I might have a project for the team. We might need to talk.
I know, but here's the thing. Here's the thing, Chris. Like, what you're saying, man, is that like it's all about creativity. It's about creativity because the how to do it, it's becoming commoditized, right? How to do it is becoming commoditized. Like the question is, what's your smell? Like, what's your ability to smell opportunities? What's your ability to read obstacles that businesses have and immediately think of how that use case could be solved with an automation? Now, that's money. That's how you grab the money and put it in your pocket, right? And that's how you grab the money and put it into your clients' pockets and everybody using that service, right? And so we've been in an era where programming was the shit. I went to university, I went to Berkeley, and if you weren't a computer science
Oh yeah.
nerd, you would have been fucked. If you were a business guy, it's like, get the fuck out of here. We were here to talk about with developers. We're in this hackathon, and we want devs, like
100%. I
full
know the
stack devs,
exact.
full
Yep.
stack devs, full stack
Yep.
devs. And like that was the
Yep.
narrative. And now it's like you need the idea, and the idea is the person that's like bringing these solutions to the world, because the full stack dev, like they aren't rock stars anymore. I mean, they still are at a super high level, but at the average level, that's wiped, right? Would you agree with that?
100% in the core of my freaking heart, I agree that yeah, you can absolutely compete with these entry level programmers and the people that are just getting out into the world. And we won't even speak about all the economic implications of this, but it is that yes, you yourself can do all of this stuff, and I think you nailed it so freaking perfectly. It is that yes, these were the rock stars, and they are still to some degree, but it is again that they're kind of being robbed of some of that power, as you can now do what they can do, and so the playing field is leveled. How good is your idea is what matters. Yeah, you said
Wow.
it so perfectly.
Dude, I love it. And so, how good is your idea? Is your idea is what matters? That's killer. Man, so when you're talking right now, I just think about so many cool shit we could do together, you know? Now, I also think about ways that I can just pay you for consulting services and look at my projects and be able to provide so many new ways to think about how I could leverage AI more and like get more results from my outbound, from my AI solution, things like that. So I love that we jumped on this podcast. Now, without going on a tangent and circling back to what we're saying, it's not about doing either or, right? It's about you can still sell a service, you can still provide marketing services to your client, but you can also create software of yourself to be able to have more scalability, right? Providing that service gives you a lot of the proximity that you need in order to figure out these use cases of where you can build solutions for. Now, it's going to be important that you're already seasoned, or maybe not that seasoned, but just like an experienced business owner, to where you can, and you have like some sort of team structure in place to whether you can multitask like this and have, like not be just a balancing act the whole time where you focus on one thing, the other things falls apart. So you got to have some sort of like management in place in order to explore these new ideas and products and partnerships and things like that. So
Yeah. So what I would say to that is there's kind of a there's unfortunately the guy that is scaling is kind of caught in a tough spot here, because it is exactly as you suggested. It's that having a team, oh my goodness, and I would share it with everyone, is that Chris sounds like a pretty darn cool guy. There are 60 people behind me. There are a ton of amazing administrators, folks that every day enable me to go and be creative, and they help me free up my time to go do these things. And what I would say is, if you're scaling, fortunately, man, we do get to kind of sit from a position where, yeah, I put in the grind time. There was a moment where it was, was pulling the super, super damn long hours and gathering all of the information. And that might be the reality of it. But I do think that if you are just starting off, hey, you might actually be in one of the best spots, is that you're not beholden to any clients. You're not beholden to the scale. You're not beholden to teammates. You could spend, if you want, 12 hours a day learning this stuff. And I will say, you don't need to learn it until you're perfect. Perfection is the enemy of good enough. But you do, you have the time. You've got the bandwidth. Learn the stuff. And, I have a few young gentlemen that it's hilarious. They message me all the time on Instagram. And, at first I was like, oh my gosh, you guys message me a ton. And then over the time, I'm fond of this. Like, dude, I love that you're showing up. You show up more than some of the grown men that have, employees that, rely on them. And they're just hungry. And so, yeah, I would say don't be afraid of it. But I do sympathize with the gentleman that, or the woman that's caught in the scale. It is a bit of a squeeze, and it's hard to have the time for this, but you'll get it.
Chris, let's move on to some rapid fire here. Okay,
Ooh,
I want to be respectful of your time here and of the listeners. What's the most impactful software or tool that you use to run your agency?
Ooh, okay. To run my agency, not our service, or would it be the?
Either or.
So, yeah, I would say Clay. Clay would be probably the tool. Yeah.
Yeah, your answer has to be Clay. Like
I know,
you
I'm a Clay
absolutely
fanboy,
love Clay. How many niches is your agency actively involved in?
Yeah, it's about probably 6, I think, right now at the moment. And this is something that I will share. It's kind of like, as you know, going to the gym, getting better at yourself never stops. There's no end point. And so what I'll share is we've done good to define our ICP. We work with, some ISPs, BSPs. We work with e-commerce. We work with a few different home service guys, SaaS tools. We've done good to define those, but I will share, I still think we can get better.
And what's your average monthly ad spend for acquiring new clients?
Dude, so this is something that I always, whenever I talk to other guys, they go, Chris, what the hell is wrong with you? We don't spend any money on ads. We just spent our first $500 last month on ads. And I'll tell you, we didn't get anyone yet. But it is, we're just spinning it up. So, and I'm obviously our cost on a lead is going to be significantly more probably than 500. So we'll see.
Yeah. Well, can you share one unique tactic that you've used to acquire new clients?
Absolutely. So the one that I've kind of spoken to through multiple times in this conversation that I think is so damn low hanging, and for the folks that can't read between the lines, I'll just put it bluntly, go do this RSS thing where you're listening to news stories. And specifically, if you have an agency or a solution that solves for regulatory things, and there's a new regulation that's come out. This regulation is being changed this way. Watching those news stories, listening to those, and then reaching out to prospects based on those, I rarely see something perform so damn well. And we do something, I'll share, maybe, kind of a bit of a hack, talking to another wonderful gentleman. His name's Adam. He runs an agency similar to what we do called Stellar Growth. And I was chatting with Adam about what's your best play. And I've laughed because I was like, oh my God, this is like basically our best play too. And I'll share, we do a fun one where we look at the prospect. We have an AI think of a very custom signal for them. Like, hey, Jim, have you considered looking at this WEB database the government has for industrial aluminum? Like they literally monitor the supply chains, and well, I see that you do this, so I assume that you're probably familiar with the database. We have a tool that, and so it'll think of a custom signal, then it's going to think of a custom solution for them, and then we go, based on that signal, we could help you do then this thing. The AI thinks of that thing, and then all it is the call to action. Could we build that for you on a 30-minute demo? We're going to give them something that's free. And so they get on the call, we build them the demo live on the call. They can see our AI watches the database, it starts gathering the emails, writing emails, teeing up phone calls, and they go, oh my God, okay, what else can we do? And it's like clockwork. So yeah, having an AI think of signals, thinks of what our solution would be, and then we build that solution on a 30-minute call.
Dude, if there's something you're excellent at, out of the many things you're excellent at, is thinking of unique ways of solving things. And so that is like one of your greatest skills, honestly, I think. If you could automate
Yeah. Oh,
if you could automate one part of your business, what would it be?
Oh gosh, I know. Dude, I'll tell you right now, because we do so many things, the thing that's been giving me a headache, and we're going to get it, the thing that's been giving me a headache is our contract logic, because we have so many clauses. Is it that we're staffing service agents and we're setting up a sales system? Are the service agents HIPAA compliant? Are they offshore, onshore, contractor, EOR? All of these different logic chains make it really difficult when we move that person to closed one in HubSpot, and it triggers all of the onboarding automation to have the contracts sent over appropriately and correctly. And that's been a bit of a freaking headache, even with how good we are at this stuff. We just have so many different clauses that have to be swapped in and out, and logic. Yeah, that would be the thing.
I'm excited about this one, actually.
Yeah.
Which marketing trend do you think is overrated?
Ooh. Oh, it's one that I mentioned earlier. So I think the AI UGC stuff it's a little overplayed right now. I think like people like mapping the AI ad stuff where like like generating like 20 copies of yourself. I don't think the face mapping and the voice overlay is at the point yet where it's completely believable. And I'll share with you, it is so important in our marketing and our sales. Don't lie to people. Don't say, "Hey Jim, I was on your website and I noticed that you're..." Fuck no, you weren't on his fucking website. You never done. Like, don't lie to the guy. We literally say things like, "Hey Jim, my AI found your LinkedIn post," and usually it's not wrong when it finds people like you. So I sent you an email. People are like, "Oh, thanks for being honest." Like, you get them all the time. I love what you're doing at Stealth. What am
Yeah.
I doing at Stealth, bud? Like, fucking, don't lie to me, man. Don't kick it off. So, anyway, I
It's
think that.
embarrassing. It's
Oh, it's
embarrassing,
terrible,
dude, to be
man.
saying those kinds of things. I love what
Absolutely.
you're doing at Stealth, and I love how you're getting helping new
Yes.
technicians service. Dude, I don't even work with technicians,
No,
bro. You're reading the
dude.
wrong signal, and
This is a
so
really important thing. Carry this with you. Good personalization is relevancy and context. It is not mentioning that you went to the same college. It's not a restatement of their value prop that's on the, hero section of their website. It is literally, again, contextualizing and making sure that your solution is relevant to the pain they're experiencing. That is good personalization. Again, Jim, I see that you have this, so that usually means that you're struggling with this type of thing. It's personalized to him. Yep, and then again, good personally. So I'm very, very opinionated. So yeah, again, I think the mapping of like the faces and stuff, it kind of is in that gray area of where it's like, dude, it's not even you. Like I'm already skeptical of the relationship. It's starting off on a bit of an onslaught, and I do think it will be needed soon. But the tech, I think it's a bit overblown. But yeah.
yeah. If you had to only focus one marketing channel for growth, which one would it be?
Ooh, that's hard. It really depends on what we're selling. Really depends on what we're selling. I mean, B2C, very obviously, I'm leaning the hell into PPC. B2B, so far, we have seen what we call the triple tap as being the most successful. But as I confessed to you, we haven't done a lot of ad work for our agency. But what we call it's the triple tap, and it's a sequence of the email into the LinkedIn message into the dial. And we hit them, in all three, and we make sure for all of our prospects we hit the triple tap. And so I'd say you could just start out with your ABCs right there. Get that for each of your prospects.
How do you manage your cash flow as you scale?
Yep, this is something that I am getting much better at. So something that unfortunately I would have told you for a long time is Chris loves making money, doesn't like managing money. And that has bit me in the ass many times. And I'll tell you, I'm paying a lot of back stuff right now and making sure that we've got everything, figured out. And it wasn't, a few years into our journey till we're making a significant amount of money that I had the genius realization, it's probably time to get a fractional CFO or some, financial person here. And so I'll share that this is a lot of stuff that I'm learning right now as we're scaling. There's some general best practices. We at our agency target a 50% gross margin, nothing lower than that. We are just as a best practice that always ensures and has kept us afloat to the point where we have, a few months of run as a savings. And, from there we do profit distribution with all of our, our equity partners and owners.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could you share an estimate of, general figures of how much revenue your agency is doing in monthly revenue?
Yeah, right now, just right around the low six figures.
Cool.
Yeah.
What's the size of your team, and how do you approach hiring, philosophy?
Yeah, dude, this is so important, man. So hiring is, and I know you know this, and I know there's people that feel this, maybe whether you haven't put it consciously. Hiring is the single damn most important thing that you can do in your business. Because what is our business? It is made up of the people. It is comprised of the people. Hiring is something you cannot skip out on. You cannot, one interview, the guy's good, just get him in. I liked his personality. Hell freaking no, dude. It is that you got to run the guy or the person through multiple interviews. Let's give them homework. I was just at a mastermind with Rami. He works over, I think it's with the sales silverback and his team. I was at a mastermind with him, and I asked this question. We all got a question to ask, and it was, how do I control for creativity in my hiring process? How do I find the most creative people? And so we do things like, as was an outcome of that dialogue, we do things like, very specific situations that Chris has been in. And I've thought of something really darn creative. We give our hiring prospects those exact situations. And we say, hey, what outcomes? How would you have processed this? What would you have done? How would you have handled this frustrated client? All of these types of things. And so I'll tell you, we have a giant, hiring process. We try to hire principally from referrals, always start there, because your winners, they hang out with winners usually. And they don't want to, if they're a killer on your sales team, they don't want to get a dude that sucks and is going to make them look bad. So always start with those referrals. And just as a very quick thing that I'll toss over has kind of been a hack for us in hiring is there's a question that we ask that is the question that surfaces winners. And it is, in your free time, do you do anything competitive with a team? In your free time, do you do anything competitive with a team? This is so freaking important. Anyone that's I spend my time on a really competitive volleyball team where I have to work with other guys and, it's like a U30 intramural league, but yeah, we do it and we try hard. That guy's going to be a winner because in his free time, no one has told him you need to go voluntarily suffer, compete, go do these things. And that person just wants to be better. And not only do they want to be better, they want to be better with other people as well. And this is really important. So yeah, it's a bit of a hack of a question that just 9.9 times out of 10, they're like, yeah, I do this. You're like, you're going to be a good hire.
I love how you as an entrepreneur, develop questions to gauge the ability of how successful somebody's going to be working with you specifically, right? Because your question and your way of filtering great talent may be different from mine because we might have different styles and environments of working. And so absolutely. I think it's just the mistake that a lot of agency owners, business owners have to make over time. It's you can take a lot of what's out there in terms of good questions for hiring, but you are going to develop your specific questions that it's going to bring in A players. Absolutely. Now, Chris, last question. What's your biggest bottleneck today?
So I would say, that's a hard one. Look myself in the mirror here. Chris, what do we need to get better at? I think it's our inbound lead gen is something we need to get better at. And I'll share, I think we even had the talk where you were surprised. You're like, Chris, you're not making content? What's wrong with you? And you were a huge inspiration for starting to roll out videos. And I will confess, I haven't been as principled as I know I should be. But even in the few that I post a month, they've been wonderful for generating leads, businesses, interests, starting conversations with just awesome people. And so it's something, I think we need to get better at, which is why we're exploring the ads. And I'll tell you, we're guilty of kind of the cardinal sin of agencies, which is we base our business a lot on referrals right now. Our outbound is rocking. I think we're pretty kick-ass at that. But almost everything inbound comes referrals at the moment. So we got to get better there. Yeah.
Well, like I told you, man, I think the move for you is you need some sort of social media analyst and an editor to work together.
Yep.
And those two are going to solve everything you need because it's about them cutting up a lot of the content that, you go on podcasts, you record the content, right? You get off this podcast, I send you the raw video file, and then you have your team just chop up so many incredible creatives where you share amazing advice and people listening can really gauge the depth of knowledge that you have and how you're probably going to, be able to apply that knowledge to their business, solving their pain points and bringing more money to them. And Chris, thank you so much for joining. Man,
absolutely,
it's always a pleasure speaking with you. It's 100%. The third time we speak this year, and I feel like I need you more in my life, and we need to be sharing and growing together. And before we sign off, what's one piece of advice that you want to leave agency owners with today?
Absolutely. Yep. So I'll share. This is not going to be a piece of advice that you haven't heard in some capacity, but the piece of advice that I would share with you is that it's something I said earlier in the conversation, is that the only thing that is guaranteed in this reality is things going wrong. And so on the other side of this, the inverse is that the quality that is the most important to you is your resilience. How much can you show up day after day when things are going wrong, and you can wake up the next morning and you can go, I want to do that again. I would just share with you, we have all experienced this, literally from the depths of my heart. If I could give any person, any single one person, just a piece of solace, the stress that you're feeling, the difficulty that you're going through, just know your resilience, the thing that got you into this position, is going to be the thing that gets you out of this position. Keep it pushing, one foot in front of the other. I always do this, kind of this mental thing, and I'm a bit of an intense guy, but I imagine that I've been in like a plane crash in the middle of the Sahara Desert, and it's that I get to walk 500 miles to the nearest city, and I have one little canteen of water, and I stare at my feet, and one foot goes in front of the other, and I walk through the desert, and I keep my feet moving. And that, unfortunately, is what business is going to feel like a lot of the time. And you'll get to oases, and they're freaking awesome when you get there, man. But you'll eventually get to that Mecca, you'll get to the city. You just got to keep that resilience pushing. So that's just what I'd share with you folks.
Oh my God, I love it. Mic drop. And Chris, where can people connect with you?
Yeah. So on Instagram is the best place, LinkedIn as well, Chris Booth Official. And as you suggested earlier in the conversation, I am very accessible. We do a lot of different things, from consulting, coaching. We come in and teach folks how to do these types of things in their own agencies and orgs. We of course run these types of operations for you on your behalf. And if any of this has been an interest, or you just want to talk, because you can tell I'm a nerd about this, I would love to chat with you.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Chris. It's been a pleasure. And for everyone tuning in, thank you so much. And I hope you got a lot of value out of this conversation. Make sure that you rewatch some of the things. If you were interested in a specific thing or didn't understand something, just comment below and I will make sure to answer your questions. And if you found this valuable, leave us a subscribe, a comment, a like, and follow us on our social media. All of the links are below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.